introduce us. Thank you so much for being here today with us, Kathryn. My name is Gestationalsurrogacy, and if you guys don't know, I am a surrogacy educator at SurrogateFirst, and we're so excited to be doing this webinar with you guys today. Just a few things to talk about before we get started with the webinar. All the webinars are recorded, and if you are registered to the webinar, you will get a recorded version sent to your email after the fact. This is a totally, we want to answer your questions, so please ask us questions in the comments. I'm here with the expert in the field, Kathryn Cross. We're so excited to talk about cord blood banking today. She has an amazing presentation set up for us today. Just a free bonus, if you guys want to get a free consult with SurrogateFirst, I can send you guys an email with the link to set up a free consult with us, and we're so excited to get into this presentation today. So Kathryn, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your amazing company? And I'm so excited to learn more.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Kathryn, and I'm the founder of Anja Health. And we do cord blood, cord tissue, and placenta banking. And I can get more into sort of why I started the company and the story behind it in a bit. But first would love to start off with sort of the collab introducing between SurrogateFirst and Anja Health. So I have those initial slides I can share. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so we're so excited. This was actually one of our most requested webinars from our intended parents. So we're so excited to teach them about this, and because it really is so helpful for all of these families. I want to tell you a little bit about SurrogateFirst. So if you can go to the next slide, please.
Yeah.
Just a little bit on why you should choose us if you're looking to become a surrogate or if you're an intended parent. We have a match guarantee, so if you don't match, you don't have to pay any fees. SurrogateFirst guarantees to match you with a qualified surrogate who meets your clinic's requirements. So we make sure that they are pre-qualified, they meet your clinic's requirements before you pay any fees up front. We have a full experienced staff of previous surrogates and intended parents. So we've been through the experience that all of our clients have been through. So I think that really gives the personalized touch when you're choosing a surrogacy agency. We have support available 24/7. We're actually located all over. We have employees in Florida, Texas, California, Georgia, Nevada. We're all over the map. And we have 100% pre-qualified surrogates. So we do medical records review, psychological evaluation, full drug panel, and background checks on all of our surrogates. So we're making sure that you're with the right match. So we can get right into your presentation. I'm so excited to learn more about cord blood banking, especially being currently pregnant myself. It's something I'm really interested in learning about just because there are so many advantages of using this service.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you're pregnant. As I guess I haven't really talked too much about this, but we connected on TikTok, and I make a lot of TikTok content on pregnancy, and you make a lot of TikTok content on surrogacy. So yeah, I feel like it's a good connection. I'm really glad that we were able to reach each other.
Yes, I am too. Just seeing all your content, and it's super educational. I actually learned a lot of things that I didn't from TikTok. And people are just like, you can't look up things on social media, but you learn so much. And I think that's
Mhm.
what really sets TikTok apart from the other platforms. But I'm really happy that we have connected.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Okay, awesome. Well, I will go ahead and share a presentation, but feel free to, comment any questions, or if you have any questions too, as we're going through. As someone who's pregnant yourself, I would definitely love to answer, so feel free to interrupt. So this is cord blood banking with Anja Health, and everyone in this photo is actually a real customer of ours that has worked with us in the past. So yeah, super excited to have them be part of our marketing and everything like that. These are real Anja babies and parents. So our plan for today is to first go over the power of your umbilical cord and placenta, define what are stem cells, which a lot of pregnant parents don't know about, but it's actually really plentiful inside of your umbilical cord and placenta. And then sort of what's all of the hype about cord blood. Like, a lot of people kind of hear about cord blood banking vaguely, but don't really know how to define it. So we'll go over that. and also what are the evidence-based current and future use cases for cord blood treatments. So ways that your umbilical cord and placenta can help your family in the future, and then what makes our approach different as a company, Anja Health, in helping you do this. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I'm the founder of Anja Health. So I founded it in memory of my younger brother, Andrew. So that's us on the left. But essentially, he was in a near drowning accident when I was 3 and he was 1. So he walked into a lake when sort of like different family members thought another family member was watching him. And yeah, it's basically my earliest memory is his near drowning accident. So I never really yeah, knew a world in which he didn't have cerebral palsy, but because it was kind of sudden and he was born totally healthy and then suddenly went to not being able to walk or talk, my parents were looking into treatments for cerebral palsy and found that cord blood, aka blood from inside of the umbilical cord, is one of the most promising treatments for cerebral palsy. So people were seeing motor and social skill improvements in kids that were receiving their own umbilical cord blood into their body. So basically very similar to a blood transfusion. They were taking the blood from their frozen umbilical cord, and then they were able to have more voluntary movements and better speech, things like that, that my brother could have definitely used help with. But ultimately, we couldn't find anyone's umbilical cord blood to use for my brother. And my parents didn't know about the fact that you could save cord blood at birth. So we didn't have his or mine. And it's generally pretty difficult to find someone's to use if you're a person of color or mixed race. So ultimately, we couldn't find one. But yeah, now I'm on a mission to sort of spread the word about the fact that you can do this as a parent, because it's something that my family always wished that we did. So we have a film about it that's sort of more in depth, and I kind of take you through a tour of my childhood home. It's on our homepage, so anjahealth.com if you want to learn more. But yeah, that's why I founded Anja Health.
That is,
Okay, so now to go in. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say that is so beautiful. And I think especially with the advantages and like IVF and so many people using egg donors and so many people using sperm donors nowadays, that having babies that are born through egg donation and sperm donation, it could be really valuable so they can have that match for this in the future.
Right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we get a lot of questions about like half siblings and things like that. If they have, for instance, the same sperm donor but different parents, if it's like a same-sex couple or something. So, yeah, but I think it's definitely useful as a relative to have. So, yeah. Okay, awesome. So now a few fun facts about your baby's umbilical cord and placenta, which is of course why we're all here today. So number one, it is definitely okay if your cord is wrapped around the baby. Some people get scared about this, and it's usually not a problem, but it can be. But in any case, it's just something to note. And most umbilical cords have 3 vessels. One which has the role of carrying oxygen and nutrients from you to your baby, and 2 arteries that filter waste such as carbon dioxide from the baby back to the placenta. So not a lot of people, especially guys, I feel like don't know what the placenta actually does.
Right.
So yeah, good to go over. I always try to educate young men if I talk to them about what I do, because they usually have not heard of it. And yeah, it doesn't hurt when the cord is cut. It doesn't hurt the baby or the birth parent. And the consistency is very similar to calamari. So it can feel a little strange, but yeah, that's typically how it's described. And the cord is, of course, attached to the placenta. So a lot of people know that your belly button or the baby's belly button is attached to the cord, but a lot of people don't know what's on the other end, but it's actually the placenta, which you end up birthing as well after the baby. And of course, your umbilical cord, blood, cord tissue, which is the cord itself, and then the placenta are all really rich full of with life-saving stem cells, which can be saved for future use, which is what we do at Anja Health. So now what are stem cells? Stem cells are our body's raw materials from which all other tissues and organs are generated. They're essentially like our body's master cells, and they have the potential to repair, restore, and replace and regenerate cells. And it kind of makes sense, like throughout the 9 months, the umbilical cord and placenta are creating that life and generating a baby. So it would make sense that then those same cells, the stem cells, can then be used to potentially heal damaged cells in other folks because it's helping to create new life. So yeah, I sort of think of them as like blank cells, and they can be used to replace and repair damaged cells. And they generally have very specific jobs in the body. So they're usually kind of more immature cells. So for instance, the stem cells in the cord blood, which is the blood inside of the umbilical cord, are more inclined to generate into blood cells. And the cord tissue, the cord itself, and the placenta have stem cells that are inclined to generate into tissue cells. So it can either kind of be inclined to generate into blood or tissue, and you definitely want to have everything you can at your disposal. So that's why I think our most popular option is to bank cord blood, cord tissue, and the placenta, so you have cells that can generate into either blood or tissue. And so, yeah, as I mentioned, you can bank all three. And the reason that this is so important is because today, every 3 minutes, someone in the US is diagnosed with a disease that could be treated with cord blood stem cells. So, yeah, 51% of current clinical trials going on in the US using cord blood only is related to cancers. And as everyone knows, cancer is a really common disease, but the second most common use case is cardiovascular related causes and diseases there. So, yeah, which is also quite common. So that's yeah, every 3 minutes, someone is diagnosed with something along those lines. So cardiovascular, musculoskeletal, and cancers are the top three use cases for cord blood. So yeah, it can potentially be used very frequently.
Wow.
So yeah, this is kind of a deeper dive into what it can be used for. As I mentioned, the cord blood is typically used for cancers, also blood disorders like sickle cell disease, and metabolic disorders, inherited immune system disorders. So there's kind of a common misconception that if it's an inherited disorder, you can't use the cord blood to treat it, but actually in certain cases you can. So it just depends on what the disease is, but even if there's a genetic condition that the baby has, it doesn't mean that the cord blood is not usable for treatment of other diseases.
Right. I'm surprised
Um,
at how many things that stem cells can help with. I had no idea that it could help with so many diseases, and wow, I'm truly blown away.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think the research is advancing every year, like just in the past 10 years especially, there's been an increased focus on placenta stem cells. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the prospective diseases that research is taking a look at. But yeah, and then looking at the cord tissue and placenta stem cells, as I mentioned, heart failure, liver disease, Alzheimer's, it's been used for hair loss, sports injuries, and acne scars, even eye conditions and wounds, especially for the placenta stem cells. A lot of OBs that we chat with, they're really excited about placenta stem cells being used for heart failure and other sort of cardiovascular related cause diseases. So, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, an exciting time to be looking at this.
Yes.
So yeah, so just kind of delving further into it. This is quite technical, but there's sort of like certain things that the placenta can treat that the cord tissue does not. So this is just kind of further evidence as to why we recommend banking all three, because you just never know like what could potentially come up in the family, and what type of stem cell you would need. So yeah, it's just best to have all three at your disposal. So the cord blood stem cells, cord tissue stem cells, and placental tissue stem cells.
Yeah, I really
Um,
like, I'm
yeah.
sorry. I was gonna say I really like that they have the option to do all three or just to do one, because I know a lot of people are keeping their placentas nowadays,
Mhm.
want to encapsulate them and they want to do all these different things. So I really like that they had options, because I didn't know if the placenta was valuable too, or if it was just the cord blood or what. So this is really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we can sort of mix and match it. Like if you just want to bank only the placenta, then it's the same price as just banking the cord blood. And yeah, we have parents that, for instance, will want to do like encapsulation or yeah, keep the placenta for religious reasons. So then you can just do cord blood and cord tissue with us. or we have parents that like for some reason can't collect the cord blood, so then they'll bank the cord tissue and placenta with us. So yeah, you can sort of mix and match whatever fits your birth plan. So yeah, this is sort of more on the placenta specifically. Basically, the placenta stem cells in particular have been able to be used for wound treatment and neurological degeneration, as well as bone regeneration. So yeah, essentially the placental epithelial cells, this is also quite technical, but it can essentially be used for grafts, which is where you can sort of repair wounds and things of that nature. So yeah, just more reason why the placenta in particular is something that is really unique and powerful in many ways in the womb, but also following birth. So just more reason why I would definitely recommend examining placenta banking, which is something unique that not too many cord blood banks are able to offer. Okay, let's see. Okay. Um, so yeah, there are hundreds of clinical trials going on. I talked about sort of like 51% of clinical trials in the US are related to cancer use cases. But the second most popular category of clinical trials is cardiovascular, and the third is musculoskeletal. So yeah, there's really a variety of potential treatment options. Um, and so, yeah, now to go into sort of Anja Health as a bank, and why we are able to do what we do. I think a big part of what makes Anja Health special is our customer service. We have a really amazing head of customer experience, Maria and Taylor and Jess. And they are able to provide between them 24/7 service and across our team. So yeah, for any parents that have already banked with us, if they have any questions, we're able to be there for them. We've even had parents reach out for just like more personal support, like if they feel frustrated with their partner at birth. We've had some parents call in and just turn to us for support. And we're happy to do that for you. So yeah, we've got some good reviews going thus far. So yeah, this is more on just sort of stem cell science in general. It's been a long road. In 1995, the first cord blood transplant was done for adult leukemia. But it was actually not the very first cord blood transplant in general. The first cord blood transplant was in the 1980s, shortly after stem cells were discovered in the umbilical cord blood. So that's why this has been sort of a more recent phenomena. In the past 40 years or so, we've been seeing stem cells being used, but the research is sort of rapidly advancing, as I alluded to before. And so, yeah, we're now at 2024, over 40,000 cord blood transplant have been performed worldwide to treat over 80 diseases, but there are 1,100 clinical trials happening, and that's just in the US, and that's just for cord blood, but there are also numerous others for cord tissue and placenta, and especially in Europe and South America, stem cells have been increasingly used. So yeah, it's a good time to just sort of like be on the frontier of medicine with cord blood banking. So just a couple more stats. So yeah, as I mentioned, every 3 minutes, someone gets diagnosed with a disease that could be treated with cord blood stem cells. And from that and a couple other studies, we've also deduced that in the next 18 years, 1 in 16 children may need stem cells to better their quality of life. Another important data point is in 31 states, there are actually laws that require OBGYNs to inform parents about cord blood banking. So yeah, I live in New York City right now, and in New York, as I talk to OBs about cord blood banking, I always ask them, like, do you mention it to patients? And the answer is always like, well, yes, I have to by law. They have to inform parents about it. But even if you live in, so you can see here that if you live in a dark blue state, then there is a law that you're informed. But even if your state is light blue, I still think it's something that's good to know about. And I imagine that over the next decade, more and more states will pass laws that make it mandatory to inform patients about cord blood banking, because so many parents give birth without knowing about it. And I think every parent should at least walk into birth feeling super informed and confident about their birth decisions.
Right. I think I actually I live in Georgia now,
Cool.
but I previously lived in Florida. I don't know when this law was in effect, but I didn't know about it when I
Yeah.
had my two children. And I'm just like, maybe it was the doctor or something like that. But I think if I knew about it, I would 100% jump on it because it's something that could help our children in the future with their health.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And yeah, I feel like in general, so many parents just feel like uninformed. And like, I feel like the average parent in the US will see their OB for like 15 minutes if they're lucky every appointment. So, yeah, so I think I just, yeah, I want everyone that comes across Anja Health to just feel super informed. That's why we post a lot on social media, so that there's just a lot of accessible information. Yeah, and then the final stat here is as high as 30% of people can't find a match. So especially if you are Black, or Latinx, it can be really difficult to find a match. This is largely because donors are solicited in high income areas, so donors tend to skew pretty in like white communities.
Right.
And matches are generally ethnically aligned. So if you're Black or Latinx, of course, you may have a lower likelihood of finding a match because they tend to solicit it in whiter communities. So for families like mine, we're half Chinese and half white, and that's why it was so difficult for us to find a match, even with half Chinese and half white being a pretty common mix, I think. But yeah, we just weren't able to find one. So important to know, especially if you're yeah, a person of color or mixed race or having a baby who is.
Right.
So yeah, so this is kind of a breakdown of more of the stats. So you can see, yeah, it gets especially low if you're Latinx, like I mentioned, Asian, Black. But of course, if you're white, then the chances of finding a match are 79%, so it's much higher.
Yeah, and I assume if you're mixed with those races, then it's even
Even
lower.
lower.
Yeah,
Right.
my kids are Black and Hispanic, so I
Mm.
can't even imagine trying to find them a stem cell donor because it would be very hard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a couple of mixed race meme groups. I don't know if you know, like Subtle Asian Traits was kind of like a bigger Asian meme group a couple of years ago. So I was in that, and then they made a subgroup called Subtle Halfy Traits where they would basically post memes about being half Asian. But I've actually seen like probably once a year, I'll see a post that's like, I'm half Japanese and half white, and I got diagnosed with leukemia. Like, I'm looking for a match. We can't find one. So yeah, it's interesting. I've seen it kind of turn up in really unexpected places, like a meme page, but it's like where people can find other half Asian folks. So yeah, I see posts like that every once in a while. Yeah. So yeah, now more into Anja Health. So these are quality guarantees. You get a collection kit with us. It has FDA approved materials and instructions for medical professionals and parents. We maximize stem cell count via manual processing methods that individualize recovery. So basically what this means is we do manual processing as opposed to automatic processing. Manual processing is where our lab techs process the umbilical cords and placentas by hand. And so we're able to maximize stem cell count this way rather than putting it through a machine because, of course, umbilical cords and placentas come in all different shapes and sizes. And so with a lab tech being able to personalize the approach and really examine each individual one, we're able to get as high as 25% more stem cells than the standard machine that would do it, which is called automatic processing. We also offer storage for up to a lifetime. Stem cells do not expire, so you can opt to store with us for a lifetime if you want. We also offer 20-year storage options just to make it more financially digestible, but you can choose. And if you do the 20 years, you can renew. We have quality storage with an AABB accredited lab. So our lab director is a former AABB accreditor, and they also work with the FDA. So our lab is definitely in solid condition, and our lab director runs tight ship. And then we have a biological goods courier we work with 10 years of experience. And so that's the courier that comes to pick up your kit after birth. And then we also have an Anja account specialist assigned to you. So as I mentioned, we have an amazing customer experience team, and they'll be able to handhold you through anything related to us or just your birth in general.
Amazing.
Um, Okay. And yeah, and overall we're 30% more affordable, and we also have different financing options. So we have monthly payments. You can also choose to pay it all at once if you want to get it over with. And we have a 20% down payment option where you can choose to pay 20% of it up front. But yeah, we can sort of work with you. We've had parents that requested to do an upfront payment over the course of like 6 months. So yeah, even if it's not on our site, you can choose one that you're most comfortable with and reach out, and we try our best to work with families. And then, yeah, like I said, you can store for 20 years or more. And our lab has over 40 years of experience with blood processing. So it's one of the oldest labs in the US working on blood processing. So, yeah, our lab is definitely a good place for your stem cells to be stored. And then we have educational content getting added across all our socials every week. So we're almost at 170K on TikTok and 20K on Instagram. And then we're on Facebook too and YouTube. So you can find us there. So yeah, more in our lab. Our lab has 100% success rate with stem cell transplants, on over 300 transplants done in their history. So that's really exciting. One of the more recent use cases was actually autism. We had a parent whose older sibling got diagnosed with autism, and she had just had a baby and banked. So she found a physician that was able to administer the stem cell treatment. And it's still early, but promising as a potential use case for autism.
That's
And
amazing.
then, yeah, as I mentioned, yeah, definitely. And then, as I mentioned, our lab works with the FDA and AABB, and we do manual processing. So yeah, this is how it works. If you do want to bank with us, you can get a kit with us at anjahealth.com, just on our site. And then you just bring the kit with you to birth. So yeah, it's not too big, and we're actually just about to roll out a kit with a handle, so it'll be pretty easy to bring with you with your birth bag. You just let your provider know that you're collecting stem cells, and they'll know what to do. It just takes a few minutes. And then afterwards, you can call for pickup from anywhere in the US, and we'll dispatch a courier to come and pick up your kit from where you gave birth and then bring it to our lab, which you can see in the photo here.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
For intended parents and surrogates that are interested in using your services, when is the best time for them to order their kits, to inquire, to learn more information? What is the best time for intended parents or surrogates to learn more information or order their kit?
Yeah, we've worked with intended parents before and surrogates. Typically, either someone at the agency or the intended parents will place the order. And you can do it at any time. In fact, I would recommend doing it as soon as possible, just because you don't want to forget. And we will actually keep track of the kit for you until the surrogate is 30 weeks pregnant, and we'll send it along then. And yeah, it just depends on how you're going to coordinate the birth. If the intended parents are in a different state, we'll send the kit to the surrogate. But then they would have to bring it to birth, or if they're in the same state, or planning on, yeah, being at the birth, which I feel like all intended parents generally are. Then yeah, they can bring the kit so we can send it to the intended parents. So yeah, it just kind of depends on the nature of the relationship, like who's bringing what to birth, and how they want to prepare for that.
So just as soon as possible, but definitely before the third trimester.
Yeah, but even if you do it really late, like I remember once we had an agent call us, I think like the day before the surrogate was due. And yeah, and we have emergency kits stationed throughout the US, so we can send those out as soon as possible. Like our mission is to make sure everyone that wants to bank does. So yeah, we do everything in our power to make that happen. Cool. So yeah, this is more on our pricing. The kit is $199 when you enroll. And then other payments start 1 month after birth. But with the $199, you can actually get a free kit if you use the code surrogate first, so you don't have to pay anything. So yeah, that's especially for folks who have attended this webinar. And then at the end of this presentation, I have another one for $100 off if you want to pass that along too. But yeah, you can get the free kit with the code surrogate first. So then you wouldn't pay anything until 1 month after birth. And it really depends on what you're banking. Like I mentioned before, you can bank cord blood, cord tissue, or also the placenta. So one, two, or three. And it's either $49, $79, or $99 a month over the course of 8 years, but it covers 20 years of storage. And this starts 1 month after birth. And yeah, you can just select that plan. If you select it and then change your mind later, we only charge you for what we receive at our lab. And if it's different than what you signed up for, we'll confirm with you what the plan is. But overall, our most popular is to do all three. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we have other financing options too. So it depends on if you want to do lifetime or 20-year payments, or 20-year storage. And then also you can pay either through that 8-year interest-free payment plan, which starts 1 month after birth, or you can pay 20% down today and then pay the rest monthly for 8 years, but they're smaller payments. Or you can also choose to pay it all up front. So this is a one-time fee, all inclusive, and you don't pay anything ever again. Unless you do the 20 years and you want to renew, then you can pay again at that point. But yeah, so it just depends on, I would say the first thing is deciding like what you want to store: cord blood, cord tissue, and the placenta. Like I said, all three is our most popular. And then next I would decide how long you want to store. So either 20 years or a lifetime. 20 years is obviously a bit cheaper, but lifetime, then you don't have to worry about it. And then you can choose which payment structure you want to do, and kind of go from there. And then, yeah, other than that, we have that $199 kit fee. But like I said, use the code surrogate first, and then that's not included. So, yeah, so other than that, there are no other fees. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to conclude with some case studies just to show you the real impact of cord blood banking. So this is a story of a young boy named Quentin who he had leukemia, and then his little sister's cord blood and placenta stem cells, so both were used to treat his leukemia. And today he's now been in remission for 14 years. So that's really exciting. But yeah, this goes to show why storing the placenta too could be really impactful, because it can be used in addition to the cord blood.
Amazing.
So yeah, earlier I mentioned, I think it was earlier, but yeah, when we basically had the third person ever cured of HIV using cord blood stem cells in 2022. It was around Valentine's Day. And she hasn't shown any detectable signs of the virus since the treatment. And previously, there has been no known cure for HIV, so this was really exciting. So this is kind of an example of how research is continuously advancing and why, like, it's not just today's research that you're able to be a part of, but like future research as well. Like I see it as kind of compounding interest in the science of stem cells. So yeah, there's a lot of really exciting possibilities.
Wow.
Yeah. And then this is a story of an 8-year-old named Sophia. She essentially had a malformation, and then she had a stroke, and it affected the right side of her brain. But after receiving cord blood stem cell treatment, she was able to have greater motor and social skills and recover properly from her stroke. So yeah, you can read more about it in our case study here. So yeah, just to conclude, we have some quick FAQs that I wanted to review. So one is where are stem cells stored? So this is at our lab in New Jersey. I touched on that. And how far can cord blood be shipped and safely preserved? It can be shipped. We recommend that you call us and let us know that you've given birth within about 24 hours of birth. We actually recommend formally like 6 hours of birth, but technically it can be up to 24 hours. And basically it just has to arrive at our lab within 72 hours of birth. So we would just recommend that you call us as soon as possible, and our courier will take it to our lab as soon as possible. And then who can use my stored stem cells? It's really up to you because the patient has exclusive rights to their stem cells, but typically for family or otherwise. And when should you order the kit? We went over this. But yeah, definitely kind of before the third trimester, as soon as possible. Um, and how do you know enough cord blood has been collected? So generally, enough cord blood will be collected if a physician is overseeing it, but we recommend doing delayed cord clamping for a max of 2 minutes. And if you want to do more than that, I would just recommend storing the cord tissue and placenta, and you can try to submit the cord blood as well. And if it's not enough, then we won't store it, but we try to get at least 40 milliliters. And generally, cord blood is around like 120 milliliters. So it's kind of hard to miss the mark. So yeah, we rarely have parents that don't collect enough. Um, yeah. So yeah, like I said, you can also use the code surrogate for 50% off or surrogate first for 100% off the kit.
Yes, I love that. Let's be a little bit bigger. What's up with this today? I was gonna see if we have any questions. We don't have any questions on here today, but I do plan on sharing this on our Facebook Live later. We were having some technical difficulties, but I have learned so much. I feel like you answered pretty much all of my questions when it comes to cord blood banking. I didn't know there were so many things that cord blood banking could be useful for. I feel so enlightened just from your presentation. Thank you so much for being here today. I think this is so amazing. Your company, what you guys do for other people, it's truly amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. This was really great. Actually, in the beginning of the company, I focused a lot on surrogates, because I just thought it was really interesting. So yeah, I did a lot of interviewing with surrogates and asked about their approach to cord blood banking. So yeah, it's not foreign to me.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you guys are watching the webinar, thank you so much for watching. Definitely use her discount codes and check out her website at anjahealth.com. If you're interested in learning more about surrogacy, definitely check us out at surrogatefirst.com, or you can email me at jasenia@surrogatefirst.com. How can they get in contact with you if they would like to learn more information or
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry, I unshared, but I think the last
okay.
slide was wait. Um Wait, let me find it
Yeah, I
again.
remember seeing it earlier, but then when I
Yeah.
like, oh, I remember.
Um, yeah, I'll share the last slide with our contact info. So yeah, on Instagram, we're Anja.health. On TikTok, I have a personal one, Kathryn Anja. We also have at Anja Health. And then we just had a head of medical education get started on Danielle.anja. And yeah, you can reach us by call or text at this 310-620 number, or email, and also our site. So yeah, we check everything every day, and we will respond during business hours Pacific time. So 9 to 6 Pacific time. But if you're a customer of ours, then the support is more 24/7. But if you're just kind of inquiring, yeah, we'll definitely get back to you within 9 to 6 Pacific.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We're so excited to share this information with you guys, and everybody have a good day.
Yeah, thank you so much.